The Mexican government is panicking over what happened to Carlos Manzo, the Mexican Bukele. Mexico's president, Claudia Sheinbaum, made statement that only embarrassed herself. She commented on social media, "I absolutely condemn what happened to the municipal president of Uruapan, Carlos Manzo. I express my deepest condolences to his family, loved ones, and the people of Uruapan for this irreparable loss." Do you believe these empty condolences? I honestly don't. Let's remember that Carlos Manzo spent months asking the federal government and Claudia Sheinbaum for help, and they ignored him. Sadly, today he faced the consequences. Let's examine something interesting in the government of Mexico's response. Pay attention.
The office of the president responded to the case of Carlos Manzo with a lie.
I repeat, the National Guard assigned 14 officers for the security of the municipal president.
And this is false, because Carlos Manzo, since October 8th, posted a call for help on social media asking the federal government to reinstate the National Guard officers who inexplicably left Uruapan, when it was well known that it was a hotspot for organized crime. And now they want to tell us that it was already being protected, and that on top of that, he didn't request additional troops.
The mayor didn't request additional troops. In these last two meetings, they only focused on reviewing the strategy.
It's simply a vile lie. And the worst part is that Carlos Manzo kept insisting that this wasn't about political parties.
What have I asked for? What has been my call? Secretary Omar Harfush, please help and listen to the municipal president, regardless of party affiliation.
Even if he wasn't from Morena, Uruapan deserved and needed a higher level of security than other municipalities.
Do you know why maybe they won't receive me?
No?
Because they think I'm crazy, and you know what? Yeah, I'm crazy. Why would a sane person wouldn't dare lead this fight when my life, those around me, and my family's lives are at risk?
The last point is true. Many Mexicans in fact ask themselves, how is it possible that Mexico hasn't had a president like Nayib Bukele? A president who fights organized crime head on. There you have the answer. Carlos Manzo had values and ideals very similar to Bukele's, and it ended up costing him his life. Let's keep watching this video about the government of Mexico's response.
Observe the body language from the Attorney General's office of the state of Michoacan as they inform us.
A very unfortunate event where unfortunately he lost his life. These events happened around 8:10 p.m. and he died at 8:50 p.m. while being taken to the hospital.
The institutional response is deplorable. Presidenta Sheinbaum and Omar Garcia Harfuch are failing in this case, mainly because they admit it's their responsibility to ensure peace in the Mexican state.
Maintaining national peace is the state's duty, and we will uphold it.
Speaking costs lives, and because of that, we can understand why many prefer silence rather than taking responsibility.
It must be said, in Mexico, the government collaborates directly with organized crime at all levels, from the lowest to the highest. That is the harsh reality of a country like Mexico. The Mexican government is directly complicit, period. That's the harsh reality. Now that means that anyone who tries to fight crime or steps out of line, we already know what's going to happen to them. There you have the answer. They won't even let him come to power. Think about it for a moment. Watch the political debates in Mexico and you'll see that for the most part, they deal with trivial, irrelevant topics. When we all know that the top priority for Mexican families is security, even above the economy. Because yes, the economic issue is extremely important. Obviously, the country's economic situation is not headed in the right direction. Quite the opposite. Mexico is a stagnant country with no economic growth. But at this very moment, the number one priority for Mexicans is their safety. And it seems like it's an issue that politicians don't care about that much. Ask yourselves why. The answer is very simple. Because the vast majority of them are accomplices, or they're either scared or choose to ignore it. Remember this well. That's something I've already mentioned before on several occasions. Every Mexican politician almost certainly has been visited by the cartel. I guarantee it. And they probably told him at some point, you decide, average Mexican politician, silver or lead. And the vast majority of Mexican politicians end up choosing, obviously, silver, the money. They prefer to look the other way and allow criminals to keep doing whatever they want, letting them operate freely in their territory. That's what the vast majority of Mexican politicians do. Therefore, even though at first some Mexican politicians may have had good intentions when accepting that offer, they end up becoming accomplices of the criminals. They also added context to Claudia Sheinbaum's answer with community notes. Please pay attention. Important context. Mayor Carlos Manzo, rest in peace. On September 19th, he made a strong call to the Secretary of Security and Citizen Protection, Omar Garcia Harfuch, to intervene urgently in light of what was happening because of organized crime in his municipality. And they didn't listen to him. It's that simple. They decided to ignore him. And now we see the consequences.
What happened to Carlos Manzo has outraged many people, especially because he repeatedly asked for support to be able to confront organized crime.
Cheer up.
I've visited Michoacan many times.
And since she asked for the vote in Uruapan, she hasn't returned as President of the Republic.
Uruapan voted for you, President. Voted for this independent movement.
And we ask you to reconsider, to listen, to attend to us, to find solutions to this problem. We ask for respect for the people of Uruapan. We ask for the presence of the federal government. Mr. Governor, Mr. Prosecutor, Madam President of Mexico, you can rest even if it costs us our lives, even if it costs us time, even if it costs us power.
Not one step back!
After these unfortunate events, Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum Pardo expressed her sincere condolences to the municipal president's family and loved ones. Carlos Manzo stated that he called the security cabinet to support Michoacan and to ensure that this does not go unpunished. In addition, a press conference will be held to provide information about the progress of the investigations in this case.
I remind you that Carlos Manzo was the mayor of Uruapan, located in the state of Michoacan. It turns out that in Michoacan, people went out to demonstrate, to protest, and this happened. Look!
How many?
Get out! Morena! Get out, Morena!
Get out, Morena! Get out, Morena!
It's very hard to give an explanation of how many people are marching, but
Out with Morena!
I'll give you more details about it later because they even went against the governor of Michoacan. People went and shouted out at the governor himself and they held him responsible for what happened.
Just imagine that, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much. Rest in peace, Carlos Manzo. A tragedy that has impacted all of Mexico. Thank you very much and see you next time.